been on here for quite a while, a few weeks, and I've missed talking to you all. There's been a lot going on. My dog walked in the room right now. You can hear him. He like circles before he sits down. But I just wanted to update you all. I'm going to make this video shorter. I didn't get a lot of footage from my last treatment, but I still wanted to tell you about it. I went to the United States to receive upper cervical platelet-rich plasma injections into my joints, my C0-C2 joints, which is not done where I live, and it's done by a highly trained doctor. So I went there for treatment. It went really well. I was also told that I have hypermobility Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So that's something that I still have to investigate because I still had a lot of trauma to my head. So I always thought my instability was trauma induced. But there can be a lot of factors that come together to create the perfect storm, as I like to call it. So I had that treatment, and then my atlas came out because of the treatment. When you're put under the anesthetic or the anesthesia, you aren't kind of controlling your neck, so your muscles relax and it's easier for your vertebrae to move out of place. So my atlas came out of position, and then I went back to my atlas orthogonal doctor to have my bone put back into place, and that went really well. I'm so grateful that that went well, because one of my main issues after my treatment, the injection treatment, was that I was unable to walk. My legs were so weak, they were collapsing. Like, I was just unable to stand up. My bobblehead was a level that I've never experienced. It was pretty difficult to travel, and I thankfully had my atlas put back into place, and then a lot of that stuff resolved. So lots of positive things. Healing is very difficult. There's lots of ups and downs, lots of tears. I'm trying to be grateful for everything. I meditate every day. I visualize myself healthy and vibrant and thriving again and just joyful. And I'm trying to really believe that healing is possible and that I can make a full recovery, and really trying to believe that with my whole heart. So that's something that I'm working on, and it's so difficult, and I think it comes in stages. Sorry for the shaky hand right now. I have a little bit of a tremor going on, but yeah, I will continue the video with a detailed description of how my treatment went in the USA for my upper cervical platelet-rich plasma injections, and I'm going to explain a little bit more about what that is. Okay, bye everyone. Okay, let's talk about what platelet-rich plasma is, also known as PRP. Okay, so platelet-rich plasma. So these are some components of blood, platelets and plasma. Blood is not just made up of red blood cells, it's made up of plasma, which is mainly water and proteins and minerals, platelets, which are involved with tissue repair and healing, like if you have a cut, platelets will travel there to help with blood clotting and releasing these growth factors that signal healing cascades. It's also made up of white blood cells, which is a part of your immune system, and red blood cells. So now that we understand the components of blood, during the PRP procedure, the point is we want to isolate just the platelets so we can re-inject them back to the site that needs to be healed. To do this, the lab or the clinic will take your blood, just like it is when you donate blood or at a lab, and they will use a centrifuge, which is essentially a machine that uses high speeds to separate blood based on weight. The centrifuge breaks blood down into its three components. Red blood cells, which are heavier, are going to be pulled to the bottom of the tube, which you can see on the right, and the two lighter layers are on the top. The platelets are then extracted and re-injected back at the site that needs to be healed. The main reason that platelets are extracted and isolated is because they are very much involved in healing processes. They contain growth factors, which are little molecules and proteins that trigger healing cascades and help with cell proliferation, all of which are needed for cell regeneration and tissue repair. The difference between prolotherapy and PRP is that prolotherapy is going to inject concentrated dextrose or sugar water to the injured site, calling platelets to come and bring their repair systems to the site. Whereas PRP is like a sports car. You're already injecting platelets and growth factors directly to the healing site. So you bypass that initial step of calling the platelets to the site. So Prolo is like a lesser version of PRP. I recently had PRP treatment in my upper cervical spine, including the C0-C2 facet joints, by a highly trained doctor. We traveled to the United States, and I would highly recommend having someone with you to help you with travel and to access wheelchair service if needed. This was very much needed for me, and I don't think I would have been able to stand in lines or get through security without support and without a wheelchair. We arrived in the States and we checked into a hotel. The next day, I met with the doctor and the nurses. A full physical exam was done, including of my neck, and I was then ready to have my blood drawn. My blood was drawn for the PRP procedure, and there was about 2.5 hours between the blood draw and the procedure itself so that they could centrifuge and isolate the platelets. I was at the clinic and given IV sedation for the procedure so that I was not awake during the procedure. And the procedure was done with a highly trained doctor who specializes in this and used fluoroscopy and x-ray guidance. I woke up in recovery. This is not the recovery room. These are just stock photos, but I don't remember anything of the procedure. The doctor did say it went well, and the nurses were so kind and made sure that I was feeling well before my partner came in. And then we waited 2 days so I could rest and relax at the hotel and heal. And then we went home. So I do think that this was an appropriate amount of time for me. And after flying home, I was actually quite unwell. The travel was very difficult for me, and the procedure did put my atlas, my C1 spinal bone out of place. So I did see my atlas orthogonal chiro for additional treatment. And now I'm just healing.